seems to be a disconnect, a major disconnect. Moving on, just a few more slides. So that's requesting dua in Medina Munawwara, in proximity to the blessed grave of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, proximity, as it said in the hadith that's passed before, whoever sends salam on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam by the grave, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitates the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to hear that directly. What's the definition of closeness and distance? I couldn't find a real discussion, a detailed discussion on it, but some scholars, I think one scholar I read said it's just down to what we regard as being close and far. And what that means is, though, is that this discussion about nearness and farness is irrelevant, really, because the Prophet ﷺ, when you go there, you make dua, ask him to make dua for you, you're saying it silently. You're not shouting it out. And then it's from where you stand and give salam, and then there's a wall there, and then might be another wall behind that, and then there's a burial, and they're buried in the ground. So that's a lot of distance. So try to use our worldly understanding of hearing is incorrect, because in the barzakh, distance is of no consequence, really. So the people who get fixated about distance need to reflect on that point, really. And I believe some scholars in the past mentioned it in passing. I mean, I'm yet to come across a detailed discussion. I'm sure it exists probably somewhere. In my limited research, I haven't come across it. Some scholars, like I believe Hafiz ibn Hajar, is a great scholar, mention it in passing, that when we talk about the hearing of the dead, which we'll discuss inshallah, God willing, on Friday, the hearing of the dead, like if you go to the graveyard and you say salam to the dead here, the hearing of the dead generally is not to be understood in worldly terms, meaning there's a different understanding to it. We shouldn't draw worldly conclusions or try to draw worldly analogies to the hearing of the dead. So requesting dua from a distance. So the following is mentioned in the books of fiqh. Calling from a distance. Now, from my research, there may be, I believe there are scholars who said you shouldn't really call on the Prophet ﷺ from a distance. Did they say it was shirk? No. That's my understanding. And there's a Sheikh Abdul Wahid al-Azhari, Hanbali scholar, in Egyptian Hanbali scholar, has a discussion about this. He mentioned some scholars, one scholar at least, Hanbali scholar, who said you shouldn't say Ya Muhammad from a distance. But they said it wasn't shirk. Remember, there's a difference between saying something haram or you shouldn't do it and saying shirk. There's a massive difference. Okay? But having said that, so we're not claiming that there's consensus on it, but however, the following scholars clearly advise this: the recitation of the dua of the blind man from a distance, wherever one is, even if far from Medina Munawwara. So the following imams say you should recite the dua of the blind man, which has Ya Muhammad, and you're addressing the Prophet ﷺ wherever you are. Amongst them are Imam an-Nawawi in Al-Adhkar. So he has the dua of the blind man. If you have a need, pray 2 nafil and read this dua, which has Ya Muhammad in it. Imam al-Jazari in Hisn al-Hasin, which is a dua book. It's a dua book for the masses. It's not for specialized people, scholars only. It's for the masses. If you have a need, 2 nafil, read this dua. Oh Allah, I turn to you through the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ya Muhammad, I turn through you to Allah. Okay, Imam al-Jazari, Mullah Ali Qari in Sharh Hisn al-Hasin, so he confirms that he's a Hanafi scholar. So that's a Shafi'i, Imam Jazari, I assume Shafi'i, Hanafi. Imam Shurun Bulali, Maraqi al-Falah, that's a Hanafi fiqh text, a beginner's level fiqh text where it's mentioned that Salatul Hajj is a good dua to read, which has Ya Muhammadin. And Imam Ibn Qudam al-Maqdisi, it's a Hanbali scholar, al-Wasiyah, has a text called al-Wasiyah, where he said, if you have a need, then pray 2 nafil and read the dua of the blind man. And read the wording, Ya Muhammad. And in the oldest manuscripts, the Ya Muhammad dua is written. And I believe there's a modern manuscript where it's missing, but the older manuscript has it in there. Okay, so there you go. And actually, there's one more actually. Alama ibn al-Hajj in al-Madkhal, who's a Maliki. So you got Shafi'is, Hanafis, Hanbalis, Malikis, all saying that from a distance you can use the dua of the blind man, Ya Muhammad, and ask the Prophet ﷺ to make dua for you. And that's way more than anybody needs. as permission to be able to recite that dua. And you shouldn't get into this cycle of, well, there's difference of opinion. There's a difference. If you want to